How you doing?
I'm so well. How about you?
Doing good. I was stuck in traffic for an hour and a half on the 401, but I'm
Oh
fine.
no. Oh no. What happened?
Oh no, just it was just traffic. Construction traffic, accidents, yeah, you name it, everything happened. But anyways, yeah. Got a free car wash out of it, so there's a positive.
Yeah, the rain really came down
Yeah, so
and
I'm gonna
big dark clouds rolled in and lots of
yeah,
rain and lots of hail and lots of thunder and lightning and
it got me thinking of all the questions I'm gonna ask you.
let's
So
go.
I'm going to start with something different, not COVID related. Do you support changing or renaming Dundas Street in Mississauga?
So yeah, we're going to look at that. I mean,
Okay.
now that Toronto has committed to doing it, it's something we'll have to look at because certainly that street extends all the way to Dundas, Ontario, which will have to have the conversation in their
Yeah.
town as well. So certainly we're going to look at it tomorrow at council. We're going to ask for a staff report on what the economic impact could be because John Tory mentioned it was $6 million just to change the street names. And then, of
Yeah.
course, every legal document has to be changed. What if you have a business? What if you're the Dundas Street Grill? What are you now? So
True.
I don't mean to laugh. It's because it's a very serious issue, but it's something that has to be considered and considered completely and what the impact will be to the cities. I mean, we're in COVID right now. We're already facing large operational deficits. So, what kind of cost would that be? What kind of time frame would we have to do it? And then what other street names could possibly be impacted as well. And
True.
I mean, think about it. It's not only your business, but your residents. You're suddenly living on a street that's named something new, something different. So
Do you support it?
it's a larger discussion. I want to give it some more serious consideration. It's an important issue to the Indigenous community. I understand that, but there are huge cost considerations too. So I'm not going to say yes and I'm not going to say no. We're going to reflect on it. We're going to ask the staff tomorrow to come back with a report as to whether they support the direction that Toronto is going in and what kind of costs would we be looking at as a city. And if it's too onerous, I mean, we'd really have to think about this. So, in concept, I understand and I agree, but there are a lot of financial implications too, and implications to people and businesses.
True.
Right? What
So,
about what about you? Do you support it?
yeah, I mean, yes, I say change them all, right? To be honest with you, I know that
Where do you draw the line?
I draw the line in obviously the cost factor and how it affects people, right? Just like you said, if it affects people negatively because Dundas has changed, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's, if I had a magic wand, I would say change them all, right? And, they've had their time in the limelight, and they did bad in the past, so let's change it and ignore them and then start again, so anyways, that's my thought.
But renaming of one street could lead to the renaming of others, right? That,
Correct.
that there will be many, many more. I'm not even going to start to list them, but I'm aware of a few others.
Yeah.
So this will have a domino effect.
Yeah, you're right. And like you said, it'll cost a lot of money to a lot of people, a lot of businesses, and
Hmm.
I don't think we're taking that into account. So, but
Anyways, whatever happens, I mean, we'll take it slowly and give it a lot of
yeah,
consideration on all sides. I understand how important the issue is to many people, including our Indigenous communities, and it's an important part of reconciliation for them. I understand that. But we have to balance that with the costs too, and if they're going to be too onerous.
true. So we'll get back to our regular scheduled
And
content.
businesses have a
But,
branding too. Businesses are
yeah,
branded. What if you're well,
I
Dundas
think
Street, whatever.
I heard it. Well, I heard in Toronto, if you change it, there's 60 businesses that have the word Dundas in it would be affected. 60.
Correct. That's
But
not as many as I would have thought, actually.
yeah, so but you have to change everybody's business card though. So
But your stationery, your letterhead, but your deed to your property, every
yeah,
agreement that you've ever signed.
true. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, there's a lot to think about. So, but
Yeah,
I
so
say in my mind frame, change them all. So,
change them all. Okay.
so
Okay, we're going to create a list of everything every other name that could be impacted too.
True. So we'll get back to COVID. Is that
Okay.
okay? All right. Step three, reopening. 70–80% adults vaccinated 1 dose. Check mark. Done. 25% fully vaccinated. We're like literally just a couple of pokes away.
No,
So,
no, we're 36%
okay,
second.
okay, so let me ask you
Oh, but
then.
that's in Ontario. Here in Peel and Toronto, we're 36%. We're almost
So
40%.
why?
And
Okay,
did you
so
see?
I just mentioned the criteria of step three. Tomorrow we're getting into step two. So we're already at step three's criteria. So
Well,
why are we
I
opening up
don't.
in?
I don't think they anticipated how quickly the vaccine rollout would go, and
Okay.
the fact that we were allotted so much more of the vaccine when it came in, and we received the shipment, the bulk of the shipment that we did, like the quantity of shipment that we came in, that allowed us to build up capacity to get so many people vaccinated. So I don't think that was anticipated when they created the criteria. I do say, yes, we've hit every measure, and let me tell you, it's 77, almost 78% first dose. And at
Wow.
some point, you're going to get saturation, because what is fully vaccinated? Because there will always be people who we will not want to get vaccinated. There will be people who will know that they could have an allergic reaction, so can't or won't, right? What percentage is that? 10? So if we achieve 90%, is that like 100% vaccinated for us? More or less, right? We are 36% second dose, and youth. The biggest uptake is with the youth, 12 to 17-year-old. You ready? 63%, almost two-thirds,
First
almost
dose.
two.
First dose, right? Yeah, obviously first dose. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but their numbers would, no, they're not, because second 36% is 18 plus,
Yeah.
but it would be higher if we included 12 plus.
So here's a positive spin on this question. Step three, can we see it come sooner?
It's possible,
Yeah.
but it's really important to track all the health indices, the capacity in public health, the capacity in our hospitals, which I'll admit is looking very good right now, very
Okay.
good. There are, I think they only had one person come in the past few days in Trillium Health Partners with COVID. There were people who were hospitalized. I think the number was 30 plus that were still suffering from effects of COVID, long haulers. They're recovering from COVID in the hospital, but not in ICU and not needing urgent treatment, right? So that's very good. I mean, remember, we were up at 30 people walking in every day, plus 25 people in ICU 2 months ago.
I remember talking to you about that.
So,
Yep.
so that's the difference that being almost fully vaccinated makes. You see, the vaccines work. They're having a
True.
real impact. That's what we're seeing. So, but we know that the Delta variant is making its way through the community, and it's highly transmissible, and the effects are very severe. So people can be hospitalized, and they could come in sick with a fever and not feeling well, and next day have to be intubated. It's that sudden. The severity is that sudden. And so we're very cautious. I think the right thing to do is to take our time, because we want this to be the last lockdown, right? We don't want to rush it, because we want to do it right. We want to get it right. And we never want to have to go into lockdown again. So what we want now, we're opening phase 2, step 2 tomorrow. It doesn't go far enough for most people. I'm pretty happy because I get to get my hair done.
Right.
But so there, and I get to F45. We get to expand, right, from 10 people to 25.
True.
We're not inside yet. That's coming. That's in 3
Okay.
weeks. So
Well,
and we know the lag factor is 7 to 14 days, right? From the transmission takes 7 to 14 days. So we do need that 2-week period to just watch the case counts and watch if there's transmission. But I tell you what a difference the vaccines have made.
oh
And
yeah.
the higher the rate of vaccination, the lower the case counts and the increase in the capacity in our hospitals. Trillium Health Partners is back to almost 79% elective surgeries, and they expect to be back to 100% by September. They can't go back to full capacity yet, of course, because their staff are rightly so exhausted and need to take some well-earned, well-deserved downtime for summer break. In the summer, they
True.
all need a break. So it doesn't allow them, the union contact rules as well, union agreements about time off. So they need to take their breaks And so by the fall, we should expect to see back to 100% elective surgeries. And I know there are a lot of people on wait lists. I've spoken to a few of them. I keep them up to date on, what it looks like and when they could possibly be expecting a call to reschedule their surgeries.
Good.
Yeah.
Last week we talked about the tickets, and one ticket in question was a massive 300 people party at a restaurant, right? I went on Instagram and there it was.
See?
They weren't trying to hide it. I'm not going
right?
to.
Did you see the pictures of Hanlon's Point last weekend?
No.
Looked like a rave.
Did it? Have you been to a rave?
No, not quite, but I can imagine what it would look like. And it looked like that. A little old to go to a rave, but my children have.
That's my generation. Sorry.
Exactly. Tickets.
Right.
Only 7 charges this past week. Let's take a look. Business, restaurant. Part 3 summons. That means they broke. They broke the COVID rules, so they were open, probably indoor dining when they shouldn't.
Can I ask?
That's a
do you know if these are the same people? Like, are they the same bad actors or the same restaurants that are doing this?
I'll be honest with you. They're reluctant to tell me because they're afraid I might blurt out their names like I did. Remember at the very beginning, and some people got into big trouble, and I got into big trouble too. So I just know it's a restaurant. I would suspect it's different people, because once you get a Part 3 summons, your fine could be $100,000. I'm not sure you're going to risk that again. Business, restaurant, 1 ticket. Patron at a restaurant, that sounds like not wearing a mask or mask properly. 2 tickets, 1 ROA, so that's Reopening Ontario Act. So that would be because they're indoor dining and shouldn't be. And 1 obstruction, so that's not good. Business, restaurant, another Part 3 summons. So again, probably they're operating indoors and aren't supposed to be. Large gathering outdoors, tickets were given, and vehicle noise. And then security highlights, so that's aside from tickets. 8 incidents involving almost 170 people who were educated and informed. Large groups gathering, large groups of youth. Large group playing soccer. It was 40 people playing soccer. Large gathering at a church. 3 large gatherings at parks. People not social distancing. Playing soccer at Celebration Square, and large gathering having a barbecue. Outdoors, it's safer, but large gatherings are not permitted. Tomorrow up to 25 people. We're getting there. We are getting there. Let's experience each phase, and just keep our fingers crossed everything goes as smoothly as we want it to and as it should. Malls will open tomorrow as well, right? Shopping malls for shopping, indoor capacity limits increase, so 25% capacity, 50% in essential businesses. So things are moving along. I'll be thrilled at, of course, personal care providers, as we talked about, hair, nail salons, barbers, estheticians, spas, etc., tattoo parlors, reopening tomorrow, right? So things more and more is opening. So, F45 will have 25 of us in class. So it's looking good. Let's take our time, be sure we get it right, so we never have to do this again. Never.
Agreed. So I got to ask you one question though. Has there been any you remember Huff Gym, the original gym that opened up? Has it gone to court, or can you provide an update?
Not that I'm aware of. Not yet. The courts are backlogged, right? Because unless they're very urgent motions, they're not in court. And there are some gyms that are opening because there is a loophole that allows people who are disabled, who need the physical activity, right, to work out. So there were some, as we know, that were operating under that pretext.
Okay. And then have you heard of these COVID-19 tickets being upheld in court? Are people paying?
Yes, they are being upheld.
They are being upheld? Okay. Let's talk about vaccines now. Any updates of when Mississauga will get the Pfizer and the mass vaccination?
So a couple things I want to talk about. Yes. So there is Pfizer out and about. I spoke to 2 people yesterday who told me they got Pfizered. which surprised me because I know we have a limited quantity, but it's being reserved for 12 to 17-year-old because that's the only vaccine that's been approved for 12 to 17-year-olds. But apparently there was a pharmacy and a mass vaccination clinic that both gave Pfizer within this week. I know that more abundantly we have a Moderna. We both are aware of that, but more Pfizer is coming in 2 weeks. So I knew that there was towards the second and third week we were going to get shipments of Pfizer again. So it's just a limited, it was a 3-week time frame, 3 to 4 weeks that it was only almost singularly Moderna that was available, except if you were 12 to 17. Now, if I could announce, we have a big event called Crushing COVID happening on Saturday, July 3rd at the Paramount Center, Paramount Fine Food Center, I should say, from 3 to 9 p.m. for youth and their families, if they want, for first or second dose, 12 to 17-year-olds. So it's an event designed for youth. There'll be prizes and giveaways. It'll be a lot of fun, like the one we heard about that was in Toronto at the Scotiabank place.
Yeah,
Scotiabank Center. Right. So it should be a lot of fun, and they can register by going online to peelpublichealth.ca/COVID-19 vaccine. And you can register there. So the same website. We encourage all youth, 12 to 17, bring your family, bring your friends, and go down to the Paramount Fine Foods. They are accepting some walk-ins Saturday, July 3rd, 3 to 9 p.m. Sounds like a lot of fun.
Well, any celebrities?
I'm sure they don't advertise that. They haven't asked me to come, so. But anyways, I'm sure there will be. Those clinics are a lot of fun. They are. Everyone, and you know this, anyone who goes into a vaccination clinic is in a good mood. They have a great time. They realize it doesn't hurt. And everyone's so relieved to get the vaccine and know that this is on our path back to reopening and path back to life as normal. So everyone's in a good mood when they're in a vaccine clinic. They're just a great place to be.
True. Here's a question we got from a viewer. A few residents have asked if garage sales will be permitted in step 2.
Well,
garage sales.
I was just thinking that because you're allowed, let's see if my staff can respond to that. You were allowed 25 people to gather. Let's see, garage sales. Okay, let's see what they say. I don't think it's explicitly mentioned, but you know, you're outdoors, and if you limit the number of people.
Yeah, outdoors, 25 people.
Yeah, under 25 people.
Just have to, screen their temperature and do tests.
Stop at the end of the driveway. Get your rapid test.
No, that's not. That's not.
Oh, I'm getting a yes. I'm getting a confirmative, an affirmative.
Okay.
I think yes. I think.
Okay,
I think so too. It sounds logical. It sounds like a safe activity.
You're going to have a yard sale in step 2. Did you hear that, folks? Okay.
We're confirming, but we think so.
Okay. In more serious news, I know you brought this up last week. Was the resignation of Pastor Owen Keenan appropriate response in light of the comments of the residential schools? This is also your church. How did the rest of congregation feel about this matter?
This is a very difficult conversation for me because I realized that his comments were insensitive and rather callous to Indigenous communities and to the survivors and the people who suffered. But he's a good man, and the church is deeply divided. And he was a friend. He is a friend, and he was very remorseful. Very remorseful, and he's going to take some time to reflect and apologized unequivocally. So it's an extremely difficult situation. But I think he felt the best thing to do for really the benefit of the church, because otherwise everyone would be distracted with his comments, is to allow the church to move forward and experience their own reconciliation, and him to take some time and reflect as well. And but he is deeply remorseful. I think I believe he didn't deliver those comments in the context in which he had wanted to. I'm sure if he could go back and say what he had wanted to say, he would have said it differently.
Have you talked to him since he resigned?
I haven't spoken to him since he resigned, but I had been speaking to him as we saw that there was social media, his comments were being posted on social media. We were discussing it. And, I did encourage him to put out a statement to clarify. And he did, and he unequivocally apologized and said that he felt extremely remorseful, that it wasn't what was intended. But nonetheless, of course, it's very hurtful. This is a very difficult time, and it's a very dark chapter in Canada's history. And of course, people are rightly highly sensitive. So I think the right thing for him to have done, he did. He left so that the focus would be taken off him and allow the parishioners to return to church and to practice their faith. Otherwise, it would be a distraction based on him and his comments. But certainly he unequivocally apologized to everyone, really, not just the parishioners of Merciful Redeemer, but to the entire community and to Indigenous communities. And he said he wanted an opportunity to speak to survivors and to apologize to them and to learn more about their stories. So he's going to go out of his way to educate himself on those issues and speak to survivors. So
Okay.
It's
okay. So we'll change gears a little bit. Totally change gears. Is the land transfer tax inevitable for Mississauga? Is it going to happen at one point? Because obviously, yeah, go ahead.
I have to say that not likely.
Okay.
We don't have any ability to implement it, as you know. We don't have any ability to implement any kind of additional new taxes, whether it's so all the municipalities covet the Toronto Act, which gives them additional taxation authority. And their property taxes are a lot lower than everyone else's because they can cross-subsidize with other revenue streams, whether it's vehicle registration tax, land transfer tax, hotel tax, all different suite of tools that only they have access to. And so many municipalities have been calling on the governments to say, allow us the suite of tools and allow us to choose what's right for our community. For a long time, the big city mayors of Ontario have asked for 1% of the GST or a 1% RST that would come as a source of revenue to the city. So the discussion was, you're expecting us to build 21st century cities with 19th century tools. And it's not possible, and we shouldn't have to go cap in hand to beg for money every time we have an infrastructure project that we want to build, or an aspirational project that we want to build. The fact that I want to build a marina or our LRT that had to be funded by the provincial government. We should be able to stand on our own and pay for those infrastructure projects on our own. But to date, none of the provincial governments, because we are creatures of the province under the BNA Act, right? We don't have those powers. Provincial government would have to give us those powers and those authorities, and we don't have them. And they have said very explicitly, and even recently, that they have no intention of granting us those powers. Okay. And Minister Clark, who would be responsible for granting those to the municipalities, he is the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, has said explicitly there would never be a land transfer tax while he was in government, right? So the answer is no.
Okay, all right.
But when you look at the revenue stream that would provide, it would solve a lot of problems.
Sure. Yeah.
But we don't have, I better qualify that. We don't have the ability to do it, and we won't be doing it. But it is the right thing to do the analysis, to say, what are those tools that are available to us, what's not, and we do need alternative sources of revenue to stand on our own 2 feet and provide the programs and the services that our residents want, right? And now we have the operational deficits that we have because of COVID, and it's a problem. We're looking for safe restart funding from the federal and the provincial government to get cities, to stabilize cities. We have no ability to run a deficit. We plan what we're going to spend each year, and that's the amount of taxation we collect, and that's it. So any kind of aspirational project is out of the question unless a different level of government will fund it for us. And that's really not right. We should be able to control our own destiny and build our own cities. So But at this time, there has not been a government, this one or the previous one. It's a partisan issue. This conservative government, the previous Liberal government, would not allow us to have any additional tools, revenue tools. Even if we would have the debate at our city council and say, well, what would be appropriate for Mississauga? Here are the suite of tools that are possible. What would be a good fit? And of course, we would consult. We would go out and consult with all stakeholders, with the business community, with the real estate community, with everyone involved. But it's not going to happen. So people shouldn't. They got pretty excited. I know they got pretty excited. I think there's even a delegation coming tomorrow. But when you think that we have $100 million deficit that we managed to get down to 40 million, and then we got some safe restart funding, and it's one of those taxation, we won't name any of them right now, but some of those tools would provide income revenue for us of $100 million.
True.
It would go a long way to solve a lot of our problems.
Lot of rec rooms and maybe even a hockey arena, NHL style. Okay.
Soccer stadium.
Yeah, soccer stadium. Okay, right. So let's get this
marina. All right.
So, the vaccine day at Scotiabank Arena was a huge success. Will Mississauga do something like that to try to break a record of vaccinations?
That's interesting, because certainly we have our Crush COVID event this weekend, and I asked for what was that record? 25,000 in one day, right?
Yeah, I think they beat it. It was like 26,175 or something.
Okay, so we're vaccinating 170,000 a week, and I asked what our highest day was, the highest number of doses administered in one day, and it was on June 25th, and it was 25,339 doses. So we're very close.
At the Paramount Center?
Okay. It was a one-day high, and it was across the region. It was across the region to clarify. But
so we don't want Toronto to get all the fame.
No,
let's do it at the Paramount Center. Let's do it.
We'll invite all the youth, 12 to 17, to bring their families and come on the weekend. Saturday, 3 to 9 p.m. We're going to have a big event. There's going to be prizes and giveaways. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Nice. Cool. I'll try to get Utah there. Okay,
has Utah been vaccinated?
You got the first shot.
Okay.
You got the first shot.
You do need an 8-week interval.
Oh, you do? Okay.
You need an 8-week interval. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, he got it June 15th, so it's definitely not 8 weeks yet.
Not yet.
Okay, so let's go. Maybe what stores will be open at Square One? I might be able to answer that better than you.
I was going to be glib, but I shouldn't be. The ones that are still there. I never had to close.
Yeah, the ones that, anyways, yeah, I think all of them are opening up. So I think it's going to be a different.
They're all opening. Opening. Some did shutter permanently.
Yeah, not as much as you think, though. That's which is great. So
and maybe they'll come back. Maybe they'll renegotiate at a lower cost rent. Maybe get a new lease. The mayor said so. The mayor said I could renegotiate.
Here's one. More serious. Why is it so difficult to enforce mask mandates in public parks? I don't.
So it presupposes that we have bylaw enforcement everywhere all the time. It's very hard to write that ticket. And as you know, Khaled, that our goal is really to educate and inform, not to issue tickets. You and I both know you're not going to get a ticket unless you're being uncooperative. True. Right? You're going to get a ticket if you're uncooperative. You say, oh, just momentary lapse. I'm really sorry. I didn't shoot. Yes, put your mask on. You're not going to get a ticket. It's only if you're uncooperative. And so we really have in the parks the ambassador program, which are sent out to educate and inform, not by law, unless there's a large gathering and they've been sent there because people have been complaining that there are too many people and they're not properly masked. Then they'll come out, of course, and start ticketing.
Nice.
But don't forget, they operate on complaints.
Yeah. Mayor Crombie, thank you so much for the 30 minutes you give me every week. for the last 16 months. I'm actually away for the next 2 weeks. I'm taking Utah to Montreal and Ottawa for our road trip, annual road trip. And
so I'll see you in 3 weeks, and if they've lifted some of the restrictions, maybe I'll take some time off, but I can't go anywhere until some of the essential travel bans are lifted, of course. So
yeah, so I think Justin Trudeau is going to give us a tour of Ottawa when we get there. So I'll let you know how that goes.
Shall I give him a call?
Yeah, can you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, have a good month of July.
Thanks.
And happy Canada Day.